titanium case. So do that, and I want to hear just some so whats and keep going.
Sure. We're saying, so are you the same? I get to do this.
Are you going to be the Sure.
And when you hit a takeaway, I want somebody to say bingo, or when you feel that you've hit, when the buyer thinks, there, that was a good answer. That's a takeaway that I could be driven to buy. Okay.
Okay, so
Did you get that?
this number is equal.
Did you get it already?
No, I'm just saying.
No.
Do we play the game? Do we continue with next other questions, or do we just?
No, you make the statement, and the other person says so what, and you have to answer, and you keep looping around.
Was that the exercise?
No, when you've said the answer, you say so what, you keep looping.
Yeah, we got to save money from not buying the GPS production.
Right, that's okay. That's perfectly okay. The thing is, it's a bit too smart. When you're doing an internal analysis, you could well have jumped some other benefits along the way. So, you will get used to this in later on. A little coaching point, okay? The most important thing is not to be too clever. These guys here made a statement, and in one jump, one recursion through, went straight to, therefore, and he came up with a takeaway, a tires check takeaway. The problem with that is that you're trying to find all the reasons for buying your product. If you jump straight there, you're going to miss a load along the way. So don't be too clever. So this motorbike GPS has a titanium case. So what? So it's very strong. So what? So if you drop it on the floor, it doesn't break. So what? Because you'll see a little bit further along, by breaking it down into small steps like that, you'll learn a lot more. Everybody happy? Statement, so what, statement, so what, so what. Carry on. I better give you guys another one. So this is the wrong, this should say our bond is guaranteed by BMO.
Okay.
All right, so try that one. Flip it around.
So I have to be the salesman. Okay.
Keep going.
Our bond is
Keep going on the motorbike GPS until you get to a takeaway.
It means that you don't have to worry about getting your money back. It means that if but I didn't actually directly do it, right? So you don't have to worry about getting your money back. It means you can have peace of mind by investing in alcohol. Means you can think about other things and feel secure knowing that your money is safe. It means that you can spend your time doing and not worrying about it. Means you have more time to spend with your family and your kids instead of doing finance.
Now, when you get to a takeaway, obviously people are a bit embarrassed to put their hand up, so something much more positive to do, which is to say, so what else? Okay? Now, when you get to the takeaway, I now want you to do it in a slightly different way. You get to the takeaway, so make a statement, so what, so what, so what, till you get the takeaway. I want the person to say, the takeaway is this, and it's a T, or it's a TI, or it's an RE. And then the other person, the cynical buyer, has to say, that might not be enough, so what else? And then I want you to work through the other 4 or 5 buying drivers that there are. And this is what the first stage of what we call enrichment. And it's really forcing out the reasons to buy whatever it is you want the other person to buy. So keep doing the so whats. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a few more up. Can you read? In fact, let's take these, the way these work. You guys can you read that?
Yeah.
All right, I was going to take, all right. Well, as long as you can read those. In fact, if I just do this, Control A, and I make them all black, you can see it beautifully. There we go. So pick them as you want. So there's 5 very different ones there. Okay, statement, so what, so what, so what, until you get takeaway, then so what else? There's a few more to come after that. Go.
You want me to go? Okay, so I don't really understand any of them.
Just make the statement.
So what?
We do it more efficiently. Very efficient. Saving you time. Spend your time.
So what?
So we'll save money on expenses.
Michelle, that might be a TE, might save money over a longer period of time. Because that's cool. I loved what you were doing. That was really good. And don't sound like you're an expert. So now do you so what else?
We have
So we don't have the risk of
So what? Wait, so what we found
You know, so what else?
yeah, so I said so what else? So does he continue with the same one or do we add?
No, sorry. What was the last statement you said before you did the takeaway? So what else can you do as a result of being able to make more time and meet more clients? So you see, so in fact, you're really good at reading the coaching class. Okay, so a little bit more. I'm sorry, I have to use this thing. Because if I use this, you lot make so much noise, nobody ever hears it. Which would you prefer, that one or that one? Yeah, not the first people to say that. So here's the deal. Remember, a long time ago now, I told you must listen to what the person says and then use their same language. Do you remember? Listen to their words and use them. So I now want you to modify it slightly and say, don't just say, so what else? So you say, in your case, he said, you save time, can spend more time with your clients, therefore you make more money. I want you to say, so what else do I get by spending more time with my clients? It's a hard job to do. It means you have to listen, folks. But the person who's answering, listen to words they use and feed them back. So this is the first step, and you're going to do a lot of it tomorrow morning, of actually listening to what the person's words are carefully and feeding them back exactly. So I make a statement, I then say, so what? I make another statement, eventually you get to a takeaway, you then say, so what else would my takeaway also give me? Make sense? Everybody understand? Go.
So what else would I gain here spending more time with my clients?
So what else?
So you say like, for example, when you get to the point saying like, you'll save money, you know what do I say?
You'll say, so I see that this saves money, but what else? You will describe this. Like you're
Sounds good. I think I want to buy outsourcing
whenever you
team
invest in
services.
there's a lot
You convinced me to buy it.
of your bonus.
Let's talk about it. So this car has digital control ABS and ceramic disc cabinets. Well, since it's digitally controlled, it's a lot more accurate. It means that there are less room for errors, and the ceramic disc brakes are a lot safer.
So like as in you want
It
more
means
more?
that you, as a driver, will feel a lot better knowing that your car is a lot safer.
We also have reasonable.
Well, a better control means that you and your family are safe, and that means that you have less stress when you drive. You're less stressful because you know that your car is safe.
Very good. You're very, very good. I'm an automotive engineer. It's my favourite one. I love listening to people doing this one. It's amazing how much you can get out of it. Garage, stress, straight, and even you can get to your jobs more quickly by driving faster, so your chances of winning the business. That's maybe pushing the envelope. Not quite so dynamic, is it? Okay, so this is what we've done. I'm sorry about the horrible things. We made a statement. Can everybody see the board? We made a statement about a feature, okay? We've done so what? Made a statement, and we're always looking at the tyres over here. Here's the tyres blocks, T-I-R-E-S, until we get a takeaway. Now we're doing so what else, and we're getting some more takeaways. So suddenly, what we're doing is we're spawning from a single feature, we're generating many takeaways. And these can all be turned into money, which is what we're going to do the very last thing before lunchtime. I'll just show you a simple technique for turning any takeaway into a real money. Now, everybody happy with that so far? And I want you to practice those, because we're going to do something else. We're going to do the last step in enrichment. So we've got to a takeaway. Now what I want you to do is reverse back. All right, so you've made a statement here. The brakes wear out more slowly. So what? That means you don't have to spend so much money replacing them. So then you go back here and you do a so what else here. The key thing is that you can do so what else at different stages. Does that make sense to people? So you've made a statement, so what? You've come up with a takeaway. Maybe here you can start with another chain that leads down to another takeaway down here. Does that make sense? Now it's quite hard to cope with all of that, so we have a form, don't we, Catherine?
We do.
We do. And it's called a takeaway generator form. I now want you to get into teams with people that you are working with, because it's this one here. So you'll shove them down, yeah. Shove one set down each side. Work with the teams, work with the people you've got. I want you to make up 4 what I call boring traditional statements about your offering. So don't try and be too smart. Imagine you're done. Don't say, if you buy my offering, you're going to make yourself a heck of a lot of money more quickly, more easily, with less stress. Because that's where you'll get. I want you to make a boring statement like, we have been in business for 5 years. Or everybody in my company has a PhD. And make those statements, true statements about your company. And I want you to put them in the left-hand side. If you look at, I haven't got it on this version. I'm going to borrow your sheet. And the way this generator works is the features are over here. So in one of these boxes, I want you to put a feature. So we've got 5 boxes. Let's put 5 features and make them different. So a technical feature, a personal feature, a partnership feature, a finance feature. And then this section here, which has subtly got so what written down it, that's where you do the so what analysis on this particular feature. And then when you go over here, it's the takeaways. It's quite a nice form for working it away. And the nice thing is that you can then start spurning more takeaways with the so what else. And then you've got it documented so you can reverse back up down the takeaway chain. And now you begin to understand why I said you shouldn't be too smart. Because if you make a decent chain here, you can spurn off some more takeaways that you never thought of. Now, I'll tell you how important this is. I had a company, American software house, and they make air traffic control software. Really, really complicated stuff. And it was even more complicated because it was combat air traffic control software, which instead of keeping the aircraft apart, its design was to keep lots of the aircraft as close together as possible so they could shoot each other, and some far apart so they could watch and they could connect with the people on the ground. And what I always do when I do, this is what we call an ABC analysis. When I do an ABC analysis with a normal corporation, I get them to do me a pitch to tell me about their product in the old-fashioned way. And this company, I sat for an hour and a half. And there was videos and there were simulations, there were statements and testimonials. It was a fantastic presentation. Nobody asked me a single question. I was just blown away by how bad it was because I kept thinking, oh, that's interesting. Oh, I'd like to put my hand up. But this stuff was coming at me. We then wrote a list of the features of their product. There were 3,500 features. So see this side here, 3,500 features. And the first thing we did was a bit of triage, and we combined them together. We got down to 300 features, which is still a hell of a lot of features. And they would have said, back then, because they're not very good at it, they would have said, any one of those 300 features would be a reason for buying their business, for buying their software. Then we did this so what analysis, and it worked really well down at this second level because things that they'd completely ignored, they'd begun to understand. There were actually only 5 reasons that anybody would buy their software. So it went from 3,500 statements to 5 TIRES tested takeaways. They were all compound takeaways, and here's the trick, and this is what this is all about. When they go and they talk to the head of the Swiss Air Force, they don't do an hour and a half presentation trying to show every one of the 3,500 features. They say, so tell me what it's like running the Swiss Air Force, or whatever the question happens to be. And very quickly they can navigate the conversation, which is what we're going to do tomorrow, to each of those 5 points. Discover whether there is a need for those 5 takeaways, And then, and only then, having probably discovered how important they were, what the hierarchy was, and say, okay, would you like to see how we could solve that? And then they do a little mini demonstration. Make sense? That's really where we're trying to go with this. So we're trying to make the conversations much shorter. And here's the other benefit. As somebody who's been selling shit for 30 years, the quicker you can qualify that somebody doesn't want something, the quicker you can move on to the next buyer. And if I have a conversation with you, and there's only 3 things that you'll take away from buying my stuff, and you don't have a need for any of them, I say it's been really interesting talking to you. I've learned so much about the embroidery industry, and I'd very much like to come back to you in 6 months, because one of the things that I know that's troubling you is in our product development cycle. But at the moment, we can't help you. I finished the conversation quite nicely. I've got permission to come back to her, but I've qualified her out. Do you know the expression qualifying out? Qualifying out means that there is no point in wasting time and money trying to influence somebody to buy from you. And I can qualify her out, and I've ended up with a good relationship. That's much better than coming back to my boss. She's a really nice lady, she's tech savvy, she wants to improve the company. I'm sure we can do something for her. If people are saying that, if you're saying it to yourself, or people working for you are saying that, it's really bad. You have to say to them, what is her buying driver? Is she going to save time?